Hello, this is for everyone who's currently working at home. We've put together a lesson for you. It's the same lesson that's happening in school, but we thought it'd be good if you got a teacher voiceover. We can't promise we'll be able to do that for every lesson, but we found the time to be able to do it for this one. Okay, to start, you should have done lesson 1 on the creative writing with your teachers already. If not, that will have been emailed out to you, and we'd like you to do that first. If you can, list the 10 key aspects of being a character, of making a character from your own memory, and write those down. So pause the video. How many do you remember? In lessons, your teacher would have had an order sorter on the board, and you would have ranked the 10 aspects of character by order. Pause the video, see how many you can remember, and then come back here and press play. Okay, everyone, welcome back. And the 10 were these. So great character writing includes the following things. They need to have a distinctive voice. They need room to grow. They need a distinctive look. They need complexity. We don't want them just to be dull, one-dimensional characters. Especially think about that with heroes and villains. A hero who's just a hero with no flaws is rather dull. A villain who doesn't have a sympathetic backstory is rather dull. It's one of the reasons that Severus Snape is a great villain in the Harry Potter series, and Lord Voldemort is really a bit dull. The character needs to have a range of emotions as well. There needs to be a conflict. Now the external conflict's easier to do. This is hero versus villain. It is character versus enemy. Much more interesting is the internal conflict. Perhaps they're battling some demons within their own soul. That makes them much more interesting. The character needs a history, and the history is often one of the sources of this conflict with the character. Connections to the other characters are also part of their history and can very much be a part of the conflict too. Your character should have small quirks. That could be a small little thing that's noticeable from, you may remember the way George Smiley put his glasses on in lesson 1. That was a terrific quirk of a character there. And strengths and flaws. Your character should have lots of things they're good at, but also weaknesses within the character too. Okay, so that's reviewing from last lesson. As we go into this lesson, I just want to remind you why we're doing this. Over the course of the next 7 lessons, you're going to create one brilliantly developed character, and you're going to do that with creating a character with depth and detail, not a one-dimensional dull character. So the reason for that is then you can fit this character in lots of different settings and scenarios. The exam you'll be sitting at the end of this year, question 5, your fiction writing with 40 marks, 50% of your exam paper, a quarter of all of your English language marks are for your creative writing piece. And we want to go in there armed with 1 or 2, maybe even 3 great characters we know we could fit to any task. So that's why we're doing what we are doing. Students often think, well, I know how to make a character. We think we can make you better at making characters. We also firmly believe that students who say, but I don't have any creativity, we can show you how to do that. And through those lessons, that's what we're doing. Today's question is this: how do writers craft great characters? Okay, and there's 4 main ways a writer can tell us about a character. You may remember our 3 characters from last time. Sister Van Helsing, Arya Stark, and George Smiley. Well, the 4 main ways a writer can tell us about a character: how they look, the clothes they wear, the colours of the clothes, the expressions, the body, the face. Let's just think about that particular one and look at your 3 characters beneath. So take a moment just to jot down, based on one of those 3 characters, the interesting things you're thinking of. Then press pause, write it down, come back to me. Okay, welcome back. If we were going to choose Sister Agatha Van Helsing, we would look at her clothing, the fact she's wearing a nun's habit. The colours are very kind of like sparse colours, aren't they? Very kind of bland, stark colours. The whites, this grey, a little bit of black with her as well. The expression, she's got a very serious expression on her stern face because she takes vampire hunting very seriously. And that's the outward look of her. But what she does and her actions and her gestures, that's the second thing. What your character does, the actions and the gestures and how they do it. Well, if we looked at Arya Stark, we would see her quick movements, her skill with a sword, giving a lot of interesting things about her character. What they say internally or externally is the third thing to write down. So what they say, let's think about the nun again, Sister Agatha Van Helsing, and she says lots of rude, sarcastic jokes. And how others react to them Do they find them shocking? Do they find them intimidating? Do they find them pathetic and then they're surprised by them? They are the 4 things. Please write these 4 things down. 4 main ways a writer can tell us about a character. And maybe add a few notes to that too. That'll be helpful. Okay, pause the video and do that now. Okay, welcome back. We're going to meet 2 characters today, and the first character we're going to meet is Polly Gray from Peaky Blinders. She is an awesome character. Many of you may watch Peaky Blinders, but before we watch the clip, analyse the choices the writers made about Polly's appearance and guess at a couple of her characteristics. This is lesson 2 of your booklet that's been sent through to you. If you're not able to print, you could just write this down. So before we watch the clip, what can we tell about her appearance? For example, you might know what they are like, powerful, or think she is. And how do we know this? The way she wears a suit, and the way she wears this kind of like a men's business dress, despite being a woman in this old-fashioned era. You're now going to watch a key scene with Polly Gray. Please only watch up to 1 minute 14 seconds. After that, there's a lot of bad language. It doesn't really focus on Polly as much as it focuses on a couple of other characters, and we just want to focus on Polly. So click the link and watch the clip, and make notes, please, about what she looks like, what she does, what she says, and how others react to her. So the link, let's find it on the YouTube. It's this one here. If I was to play it for you, it wouldn't play well through Screencast-O-Matic, which I'm recording on, so I want you to do that for yourselves, please. As soon as you've watched it and done your work, come back to us. Okay, sorry about that. I just had a technical glitch through not having used this particular recording software for a couple of months, just out of practice. Sorry about that. Okay, with Polly Gray, we've got a character who's really combative and aggressive and threatening, but also one who I think has strong trust and faith in people, but she tests them. She makes them really justify that faith she has in them, doesn't she? Really interesting character. And you may have had all sorts of interesting things. Please share your thoughts on this character with your teachers. Our second character for today is Jesus from The Big Lebowski. So he's not Jesus Christ, he's a character from The Big Lebowski. And again, we don't want you to watch all of it. We just want you to watch up to 1 minute 31 seconds. And again, based on clothing, what do you think he's like? How do you know? So do your predictions first, then watch the clip and add your notes on Jesus' character. Pause, do your work, come back to the video when you're done. Thank you. Okay, so we've now got, and we should have notes on the 2 characters, on Polly and on Jesus. You should have what they are like, and how do we know they are like that, based on clothing, appearance, facial expressions, based on what they do, their actions, based on what they say, not in the case of Jesus, but certainly in the case of Polly, and based on others' reactions to them. Some very interesting reactions to Jesus' character in The Big Lebowski. Okay, now choose one of the 2 characters and make one tiny tweak that would make a big difference to the characterization. Let's think, what if Polly'd never taken off her sunglasses? How would that change her character? Would she be more mysterious as a result? What if Jesus' jumpsuit wasn't this kind of garish purple? What if it was brown? Would that change things about him? Now think, why did the writers, and the writers here, we're thinking about the directors of these films, why did they make the choices they did? And what significance would your tiny tweak have on the characterization of a character? I want you to start to think now about the character you're going to create and the visual look of this character. The small details, so spend a few minutes thinking of ideas for things your character could wear, their appearance. When you've done that, come back to me. Okay, final thing I want you to do now is to review something we read last year. Last year we read this extract from James Bond. And I want to think, what do we learn about James Bond characteristics from his characterization? What do we learn about him, his characteristics, from his characterization, from the way the writer writes him? We're going to read the first 4 paragraphs together. After 3.5 hours sleep, James Bond was woken at 7 a.m. in his Chelsea flat by the electronic tone of his mobile phone's alarm clock. His eyes focused on the white ceiling of the small bedroom. He blinked twice and, ignoring the pain in his shoulder, head and knees, rolled out of the double bed, prodded by the urge to get on the trail of the Irishman and Noah. His clothes from the mission to Novi Sad lay on the hardwood floor. He tossed the tactical outfit into a training kit bag, gathered up the rest of the clothes and dropped them into the laundry bin, a courtesy to May, his treasure of a Scottish housekeeper who came 3 times a week to sort out his domestic life. He would not like to think of her having to pick up his clutter. Naked, Bond walked into the bathroom, turned on the shower as hot as he could stand it and scrubbed himself hard with unscented soap. Then he turned the temperature down, stood under freezing water until he could tolerate that no longer, stepped out and dried himself. He examined his wounds from last night, 2 large aubergine-coloured bruises on his leg, some scrapes and the slice on his shoulder from the grenade shrapnel. Nothing serious. What do we learn about Bond? Well, firstly, we learn how physically tough he is. He's got wounds that he just examines, and they sound pretty severe. One's a slice in his shoulder, which he disregards as being nothing serious. So we learn he's tough from the way the writer writes this. We also learn that he's considerate. The fact that he won't leave mess because of his courtesy that he feels towards May, his housekeeper. We also learn that there's a determination to him. He had the urge to get on the trail of the Irishman and Noah. Bond is determined. He does not give up on things. Bond is considerate, and Bond is incredibly tough. And we learn that without ever being told. The writer never says Bond is considerate. The writer never says Bond is determined, and the writer never says Bond is really tough. The writer just shows us this, and that's a skill that's going to be critical for you. So to end this lesson, let's think about your initial ideas about character and where you could go with creating your character. Okay, well, hope you found those clips interesting. I think they're 2 great clips of 2 really interesting characters. And we hope we've given you some inspiration for creating your own character. There'll be lots more inspiration to come. Okay, that's it from us. We'll see you next time.